James.
How do you create that sense of intimacy? I've been to some public speaking things, and I kept saying, "Hey, you guys," and I was speaking to a group versus speaking to someone directly, conversationally, like your custom craft advice just for me. How do you do that?
Yeah, that's a tough one, right? So first of all, it's mostly tonality. It's being 100% comfortable. Here's the big challenge when people get on stages, and I'm sure you've seen this with almost every single speaker. You could be hanging out with them an hour before they get on stage, and then they get on stage, and you're like, who's that person? That wasn't the same dude I was hanging out with. And it's not even because they're trying to pretend to be somebody they're not. It's because there's this concept called dramaturgy. So dramaturgy is a sociological concept that says we play different roles in different situations. So the doctor in front of the patient isn't going to say, holy shit, you're screwed, right? He's going to say, this looks bad, but there's some stuff we can do. And then he goes behind the curtain with the nurse and says, did you see that? I haven't seen an infection that bad since '87, you know? Same doctor playing a different role. And that same doctor will then go to his mom's house, and he'll be just the nicest, meekest boy for his mommy, right? Same doctor, different role. So we tend to think, if I'm the presenter, I have to do what presenters do. And I have to be very, very formal, and I have to be very appropriate and professional, of course, because that's what presenters do. And so therefore, I will assume the role of the presenter, you know? And either I'm just like insane, or I've practiced this enough, is like I can have a conversation with an audience of 1,000 people just as easily if I could have a one-on-one conversation. I don't accept the role that's given to the presenter. I try to create my own role. And my own role is, I want you to do something specific. And I'm very clear about my intention of what I want you to do, right? In the context of me selling, I want you to buy. In the concept of me educating here to you now, I want you to adapt and adopt and do new things you couldn't do before. And then tell me about it and send me gifts and presents and testimonials and praises and et cetera, right? Mainly just to get you to play in a new way, right? So that's my outcome. So I play to that outcome. And if my role is, I know being more effective in my communication by being direct and not playing this whole thing of playing a role of a presenter is going to allow me to do that. And so I don't know if that's a mental exercise you can adapt when you step on stage. But don't think of yourself on a stage. I never think of myself on a stage. I never think of myself as doing a presentation. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to give a message, and that message is going to change you. And whether it's just you and me, or whether it's you, me, and 1,000 other people having this conversation together, that's where it comes from. And then I think because of that, the tonality follows as a result. Does that make sense? Easier said than done. Because you got to be comfortable. You can't be scared. But if you are scared, tell them you're scared. But then add the extra layer, right? Because, I mean, how many times have you heard this? I'm not a professional speaker, so therefore I can be lazy and unprepared like an asshole for the next 50 minutes, right? Not being a professional speaker is not an excuse to be an asshole, right? Instead you say, I'm not a professional speaker, but this is so important to me to share this with you that I'm coming out of my comfort zone. And hopefully what I lack in skill, I'm going to make up for in preparation. And now you got them, right? Thank you. Mark?
Yeah, it's such an interesting. You often see the introverted.
Right.
And there are so many of them that unbelievably crush it. One of the reasons behind that is the extrovert feels overconfident on stage.
That's right.
Into the stage. The introvert says, they put extra time into preparing and they crush it. And so off stage, you would see the two, and if you picked who was going to crush it,
Right.
you pick the extrovert.
Yeah.
But the introvert ends up crushing it because they are twice as prepared to crush it on stage because they don't lean into their natural confidence
Right.
of being in front of people. And that's a real crush that an extrovert has is, I'm naturally comfortable in front of people, I don't have to prepare as much. Then they get on stage and they don't close nearly as high because they weren't prepared.
Well, and the thing, and I've learned this too, like typically introverts usually are more effective sellers than extroverts are. It's the exact opposite of what people think. And I'll tell you why. It's a lonely business creating webinars. It's a lonely business creating products. It's a lonely business creating sales material. right? That book that's on every one of your... I didn't go out to the club and write that book, right? I wasn't getting lap dances while I was writing that book, okay? That's a mental picture for you, by the way, right? That was 2 hours a day for 45 days straight, maybe longer than that. It was 100+ hours in complete solitude. It's not that, I mean, I like it because it's creative and I get enjoyment from it. But an extrovert trying to do that is going to be pulling their own teeth out by day 5 because they get their energy from other people. But here's the difference between the two. You get to get into the subject matter so deeply that then if you can transcend that timidity of getting out there and speaking, then you will probably win. So the really good sales closers I know have sat down and practiced 1,000 times. After every sales call, they wrote notes. What did I do wrong? What could I do differently? If this happens again in the future, what will I do? And then they'll practice it. But that's lonely. That's boring. That's in solitude. But then when you come out, you have a bigger impact on the audience. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the cool thing is it doesn't matter who you are. Extrovert, introvert, it's like transovert, I guess, if we're being politically correct these days, right? We don't want to make anybody feel uneasy. Is you got a message you want to say, I think, right? You got a message you want to say. And you're going to go out there now. And then we're going to take a break. So there's this concept called ferocious resolve that I practice. And ferocious resolve, I think most of us could use a lot more of it, right? And that is, I look at the problem as, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to seize it, and I'm going to tear its head off. And I'm going to just own it. I'm just going to completely obliterate it. Nothing but the outcome that I want is possible. I am going to find a way or make one. Archimedes says, give me a lever big enough and I'll move the whole world, right? And that's how I feel every time I do anything that's worth doing. So if I'm on here today or if I'm speaking on a webinar, I look at and I say, you're mine. I own you and I am going to crush you. Rapidly, which is right. That's where this comes from. Oh yeah, the banks always ask me, or the lawyers or somebody, rapid crush, what's that, I'm like, here's what we do. We enter markets rapidly and we crush them. And they go, okay, that makes sense, right? Sure. And so when I get on a stage, if my goal is to get you to, and my goal is always behavioral based. The sale is the result of the behavior adoption. If I can empower you to feel like you can do something you couldn't do before, by result, I will also get the purchase. So I say, what are people really struggling with that I can go and I can say, hey, listen, I can reach into your soul and say, listen, you and me are going to have a talk. And that shit you're doing, that's no longer appropriate anymore. You're not going to do that anymore. You're going to do this instead. And you're going to say, well, I don't want to, Jason. I say, I don't care. If you want to or not, you're going to do it anyway, because I know you want to do it. And that's what I believe. That's what ferocious resolve is I don't see it if it's my goal to help you become better at whatever it is you want, or to empower you to solve a problem, and I come at it timidly, I got no chance. And so if we can get on a stage and feel that when we do what we do, I think we're going to be much more effective communicators and presenters. And you don't have to be a certain personality to do this. It can show up differently. But there's no doubt, like, when I come on stage or come on a webinar, I'm selling you, right? I don't think it's a mystery anymore. But you're okay with that because you know where I'm coming from. I have this desire for excellence, and it shows up in the communication. Yeah, truly. And now here's the nuance to that. I do that so that way I can really go hard when I push hard. I feel like I've earned the right to be ferocious because I'm not asking you to do anything I haven't done yet. If I'm asking you to step up, I've already stepped up. This was a sales close. I said, listen, for every one step you take, I'll take 10 steps on your behalf. When you sign up for this product today, we got all these resources. We got software, we got coaching, we got membership, we got support. So listen, anytime you take a step forward, I'll take 10 steps on your behalf. But you need to take the first step. And that step is going over here and signing up and buying right now. And the moment you take that first step, boom, we're going to take 10 steps for you. But you have to take the first step. And now they're like, all right, I can do that. Because we can confidently know that whatever we're asking them, we're prepared to win with them. But that's that ferocious resolve around. But a lot of this comes from that idea of content, right? How do you get good content? Good content comes from, what did I say earlier? What's my definition of true learning? Behavior change. So that's why my content typically sits head and shoulders above other people's content, is because I don't play to the content of the content. I play to, how is this person operating differently as a result of hearing this content? And 99% of the time, they're not. They're acting exactly the same. So we just got to figure out where to tap. That's the secret. So